y'all. We're good?
Playing with us today.
Nah, it's all good. It is all good. It finally happened. I'm glad everybody is here. Let me just check here. I think we're good to go. How was your day going?
Good, 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 good. It was busy, but it was a good kind of busy. So I'm
No,
grateful.
no. And I'm grateful for you for having you here. I wanted to because I am familiar, but I know so many people do not know what your movement is and what you actually do. Because considering everything that is going on right now, where so many people are at the crossroads of potentially looking to leave America, but it's the first time, and I'm not talking about first time moving abroad. I mean, it's the first time they maybe getting a passport. Maybe their first passport experience is I'm leaving because this is outrageous. And from a high level, your organization provides young children from the city the ability to get their passport at a young age, a way younger age than I know I had mine. So many of my friends growing up had theirs. So can you kind of just tell me, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, understanding of what the organization is, and we're going to get into some of the nuances of the organization, but I just want them a high level overview so we can get into it a little bit later.
Yes, yes. Hey, good people, everybody watching. Bianca Nelson, founder of Learning to Live Movement. So we Learn to Live Movement is a nonprofit, 501c3 nonprofit, and we provide travel opportunities for high school students. So to make that sound more fun, we basically make sure that our students are getting exposure to life outside of their cities. And when I say cities right now, most of our students are from Baltimore. That's my hometown. But we're making sure that these kids are getting outside of their cities at a young age. And like you said, even learning about a passport, why you should have a passport, how to utilize your passport in the places you can go with your U.S. passport. So we get their passports for them. We create retreats for them. Over the last year, we had a strong focus on taking kids to different conferences, whether it was travel conferences, tech, finance. We figure out what they are interested in, and we're like, okay, let's go learn this stuff outside of your hometown. You know what I mean? Like your classroom doesn't have to have four walls. So we're getting them out of their city while they're young. Now, if their parents can't afford it, it's fine. That's why we're a nonprofit. So we depend on donations, sponsorships, grants, and all that good stuff. And we cover everything to make sure that they have their passport and they're ready to travel the world.
Man, listen,
That's high
I,
level. We can go deep, but
we gonna definitely go deep, but like even you just telling me about that, because growing up in Philadelphia, um, I was privileged to have parents that thought bigger than Philadelphia, but my peers in high school, middle school, not everybody was privileged with that. And I didn't, I remember I'm old enough to where you did not need a passport to leave the United States. I was 16 when I went, and I think I went with my birth certificate.
yeah.
And so I did not have a passport. And you bring up such a good point, because you're talking about not only getting them a passport, but educating them about how to utilize a passport, what your American passport does for you, taking them to conferences, whether it's travel or in something like STEM, and giving them the opportunity to not only get out, because I know that's half the battle growing up in the city, is like
That's
seeing
half.
something different.
Yep. Yep. Outside of
But
your everyday bubble.
exactly. But to apply that with conscious travel with intention at a
Yep.
young age is such an important thing, because that is half the battles of why sometimes some people, it's like me talking to an adult, trying to get them to understand how to use a passport, how to travel etiquette. You
Yep.
aren't if this is your first time out of Philadelphia, everywhere is not Philadelphia. Never mind the Northeast, never mind the East Coast, never mind the entire United States of America. It's none of that. So,
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
you're doing is, I was on with Courtney with Black Expat Stories, and what she said was this is the next migration. But we are at an age where we're migrating with the little bit of education because America doesn't teach
Yes.
us to leave or
Yes.
even like there's better places for you. It just teaches that we're the best. We're in the best place. This is the
We're the
best country.
best.
Right, we're the best. What I'm realizing is if this is the next great migration now, that those kids that you are mentoring and all of their peers that have the opportunity for this, they're going to be the pioneers of the
Yes.
complete because we're
Yes.
only somebody was saying, oh well, I want to get this put into a journal, but it like not a journal like a psychology journal and everything else.
Mhm.
But I'm like, it's still being written. You can't even write it down yet because we don't even have enough of years of doing this to be
Yes.
able to.
Yes.
So
And
you're
and
giving people like
and
us a great start.
yes, and that's what I feel. I feel like right now is the time that, and this is why I started my organization, but right now more than ever is the time that our kids need to be knowing and understanding this stuff. So therefore they start to get ahead of the game. So it's not like you said, you're dealing with having conversations with adults, and trust me, I feel you. Okay, you're having conversation with adults that don't even have passports, right?
Yeah.
Don't understand how easy, or I won't use the word easy because it's not always easy, but how you can really get up and go to another country, right?
Hmm.
um I believe it or not, what we're doing with the kids, we're setting the kids up to be ahead of the game, especially in our communities, because in other communities, their kids are already ahead of the game. Okay. So we're setting our kids up to get in the game and then get ahead of the game. And what they're doing is they're inspiring the adults, because there's so many parents that I work with, and they're like, I'm talking to the parents, getting all the birth certificates and getting all the documents, because that's what we do. We basically hold the family's hand, because we're dealing with kids from communities that they might not have a dad, or dad might be in jail, or the parents might not be talking to each other. So now this is a whole situation that we have to go through, because if when you're under 16, you have to have both parents present.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now we're talking about another roadblock, right? So we hold their hands and make sure, like, listen, I don't care what roadblock, is there. We're going to knock it down. We're going to get this done. But I'm talking to parents and they're like, hold on, this is crazy. How is my kid getting a passport but for me? Right. So now it's like, and I had that. One of my first students, his dad was like, hold on, let's pump the brakes. Like now he's thinking like, wow, wait a minute. How am I at this big age and I don't have a passport? But that's because that's just how it went in our community. We didn't have an organization like myself saying, hey, look, let's get your passport while you're in high school right now. So by the time you become an adult and you have kids, you're already ready to get your kids their passports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel what you're, when you say you're talking to these adults and they're not equipped for what's happening. But I'm like, I'm not. My main thing is, I'm not. I don't know if you remember the saying, if y'all had the same saying in Philly of like no child left behind, and it was about like in school.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was good. That was nationwide.
listen,
I think what you call 'em, some of them kids, no child left behind. I remember. Let me
listen. I am no child left behind when it comes to this travel stuff. Okay, so that's why I started to incorporate the conferences, going to the conferences, because what I also seen was, one, first thing first, travel isn't just a vacation, it's education for every little thing you can possibly think of. We have so many adults who don't know who they are, and a lot of that is because they never left their hometown. They didn't realize that the biggest piece of them was somewhere else in the world. So I'm like, no kid left behind of understanding who they are, and no kid left behind of understanding what's actually happening in the world. So at these conferences I'm attending, I'm like, I'm mind blown, right? Like, because I didn't learn this stuff growing up or whatever. So I'm at these events and you're networking and you're learning and you're networking and you're learning. And all I could think about is I need my kids in these rooms. It's
Yeah,
so many adults in these rooms, which is great. But the same way how we at these events trying to put each other on as adults, I need to be putting these kids on. I need to make sure that they are hip to what is going on, even if they don't fully understand it. I can guarantee you by the time they hit their 20s, it's going to be like, oh, wait a minute. That conference I went to, now I know
yeah,
how to utilize that information.
yeah.
Like, so I'm like, we're going to use travel to make sure that they are staying ahead of the game in every way possible.
Nah, I actually love that because I have no idea who is watching or who's going to watch this, but I know growing up in the Northeast, it's a very particular kind of environment. If you're in the inner city, and I think about how it was what it was when I was a child. Think about how
Hmm.
it is now and the lack of programs that are available. Even something like, remember, did y'all have the POW League? Maybe
The
it was
who?
called something else, POW, but it was the police athletic league.
Yes,
It was like,
yes, yeah,
I don't need, I'm not saying that it doesn't go on, but I don't hear kids talking about that. I don't hear kids talking about like. I hate when I talk to a teenager and I ask them like, "You're a good kid, school, go to school, everything." But I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like,
nothing.
when you say nothing, I'm like, outside of school, it's like, well, I play video games. I'm like, do you like video games? They're like, yeah, it's all right. I'm like, well, what else you do? Like, nothing. And I'm like,
Nothing.
that nothing. Well, I hate to sound like, oh, but nothing is always going to lead to something. Like idle time is completely the devil's playground, and we are looking at what the other side of these kids not being provided anything with
Exactly.
extracurricular activities. These kids have a computer in their hands and are on it all of the time. Can go and Google things like we didn't have those kind of things
Yeah,
like
they
readily
have social
available,
media.
but they are not utilizing it in a way to educate themselves on something that actually can propel them into another future, which is okay, yeah, I'm looking at rap videos and this kind of video,
Yep,
but
yep,
what
yep.
kind of travel inspiration? But you're not even thinking of that.
They don't, because no one's sharing that with them, and that's what I tell my parents all the time. Like, listen, we're your village, right? Like, don't feel bad that you might can't not afford to travel with your kids, or you don't know XYZ. All I need you to do is stay in communication in the group chats, communicate to my emails, just communicate and follow the instructions so I can be that part of the village for you to make sure that these kids are knowing the things that they need to know, and then they know that there's opportunities out there. They know that there's a world out there. So when we talk about them being on their phones all day, with my students, they'll tell you, I'm constantly sending them, whether it's before we go on a trip or after we go on a trip, wherever in between. I am constantly sending them um, um, Instagram profiles that I want them to follow. So, like going to Belize, hey, look, follow this. It could be something simple. Follow this restaurant. Follow this blogger. We're going to the Good Soil Forum in June,
Okay.
and I'm like, follow Wall Street Trapper. He's someone you can relate to. Telling them that his story about his background of being incarcerated and figuring it out, and now he's on top, right? And I'm like, follow these people. And what I'm doing is slowly just trying to, one, expose them to other things, but also slowly try to create their what is it? The algorithm or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, right?
Get the algorithm tailored to some positive stuff.
Yes, so they can start seeing other things on their timeline, because I'm like, same thing you said, like, what? So you're doing nothing, and then now you're also seeing a whole bunch of nothing.
A bunch
I
of negative
We
imagery.
can't have that. We don't have time for that. There's
Mm-hmm.
stuff out here that you could be seeing. There are things that you could be doing. You know what I mean? And I just love the thing about travel. I love how it sparks creativity. So of course, things that
Yeah.
they never knew existed. So, like for instance, we're in Belize, and we go snorkeling, right? And they're talking to the guy. Mind you, I mean, you know how this go. He's a
Hmm.
regular dude, but he has his business, and that's been his snorkeling has been his business all of his life since he was a kid, right? And diving and all of that good stuff. And they're like, yeah, so man, like, so like, what you do for a living? Because he's like, yeah, well, when we finish this tour, I'm just gonna go home, hang with my family, have a couple beers. I'm the breadwinner. I take care of my family. I got kids. All of, he's just telling us about his life. And they're like, well, what else do you do for a living? And he's like, what we just did, snorkel. And they're like, no, 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 man. Like, how you really make money?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He's like, I snorkel for a living. Like, this is what I do. And he's explaining it to them like, listen, you can create a business like this if you want to. But
Yeah.
again, it starts with us being the ones to be like, okay, y'all, listen. There's other things you could do for a living. There's other
That's-
jobs you can create for yourself. You can create all types of jobs. You travel the world, you start thinking about all types of stuff. You know
I'm
what I
thinking
mean?
of Baltimore kids trying to like cause coming from Baltimore, I'm like the harbor. Like you thinking about a snorkeling business in the Baltimore harbor? Like yeah,
No,
that's not
look, gotta
not
go.
until you see something and you're like, yo, it's so. I told my sister I went to Orlando to visit my sister a couple of weeks ago, and I told her, I said, do you know how crazy it is when we were kids? She got invited to Puerto Rico when we were. I was in eighth grade. She was in seventh grade,
Hmm.
and I told her at 37 years old, and she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, you know, when you went to Puerto Rico, you could have been in like Australia for all I thought, because I just thought
Yeah,
you had gone like
so
so
far.
far to like this distant land where everything was different. And I mean, Puerto Rico at that time was definitely like different, but I was like, from Philadelphia, it might as well have been
it's
Australia.
it's this crazy place. It's funny you say that because I originally started this company from a feeling that I felt while I was in Australia. And
Mm.
when you talk about Baltimore, right? Just being from places like Baltimore and the mindset, when I first started telling people that I wanted to go to Australia, mind you, I knew nothing about Australia. I overheard an adult conversation that I had no business in as a kid, about some people that talked to my mom about them coming back from the US. I mean, coming back from Australia and blah 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 blah. And I heard something about there was no crime rate. And so at the time, and this was oh my God, this was a long, long time ago, okay? So I heard something about there was no crime rate. And I was like, oh my God, I have to look this up. Like, this doesn't exist. This isn't a real that isn't a real place.
No crime, like from Baltimore and Philly. You're like,
So I looked it up and I've started digging into Australia. Ever since then, I wanted to go to Australia, right? Just off of that one fact. And I start telling people, and people are like, Australia, what are you gonna do in Australia? Where, for one, where is, you don't even know where Australia is. What are you gonna do in Australia? There's nothing there. Ain't it just kangaroos and stuff like that? Mind you,
boomerangs.
this is the Baltimore life I'm living, right?
Right. I
And
got
I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever. Like, y'all gonna see, I'm gonna go. It took some years, right? But it's all about traveling and finding your people. I moved to California and started talking about I wanted to go to Australia. And what happened was everybody start connecting the dots for me and start telling me how the heck I can get my little black butt to Australia. And what should I do in Australia, and how they had friends in Australia and they lived there for months. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I'm not used to that.
yeah.
And I get to Australia, I'm living my life for 30 days by myself, flip me upside down. And I'm like, I gotta get kids to see this type of stuff, man. Like, it's no way that everybody at home thought I was crazy for saying I wanted to go to Australia. And then I made it here. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, if I can make it here, imagine what would happen to the world if more people could do this.
Yeah,
And I was
that's
like,
real.
yep, I gotta figure this out. Gotta figure
Nah,
this out. Create a
that's
nonprofit.
that's crazy because I wanted to know, like, what was the thing that made you, like, kind of have that aha moment and say, okay, because you went and transitioning, because you just talked about what was it, but taking an idea from an idea and putting it on paper, going and forming a nonprofit, and then once you even did that and did the website, like starting in step one, like how was that journey? Because you really, I feel like you have to keep your eyes on the goal and why that you're doing it in order to even just be able to stand up something that's impactful.
Listen, the why is everything. Especially, I tell people, nonprofit is a business. Don't get it twisted. It is a business. You have to run it like a business. But um, I've been in business for 10 years. I've been running my nonprofit for 10 years, but it operates differently. The money that come in, it ain't yours. So I'm still working a million jobs to take care of my personal life, right?
Yeah,
And the average person would give up. Like, okay, I'm putting in, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours for this nonprofit, but it ain't paying nothing in my life. It ain't, financially, it ain't doing nothing for my life. It's all about the why.
yeah,
I dump my money in. I put in the hard work because I don't care. My main thing is I want kids to be able to experience what I was able to experience. Now, I didn't get to experience until I think I moved to California when I was 19. And living in California was a big deal from
yeah,
Baltimore. That was
yeah,
like
yeah,
a what just happened, right? And and then I again went to Australia and then start traveling. But that why is what stick with me every day, because it's like I can't stop. You know what I mean? I can't stop. I still haven't put myself on a salary yet. And that's just the way it is. And I'm making sure that this thing is running. We are producing great results. We support over 25 students a year with passports. And just the thought of that is like, okay, B, you have to keep going, because
yeah,
for a good 5 years of doing this, it was all just an idea. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It was all just an idea of me just trying to figure it out. And how does this go? Where does this piece go into the puzzle? I knew nothing about a nonprofit when I first started. That's the other thing I want everybody to understand. If whoever listening, if you're thinking about starting something and doing something and you know nothing, it does not matter. Just do it and ask a whole bunch of questions.
yeah,
Ask a ton. Everybody just ask some questions and tell them. I'm a big believer. You know how they say, "Oh, don't share your ideas because people are going to take it and stuff like that." My mom taught me, if something is for you, it's for you. And if it's for somebody else, God wanted you to share that idea with them. And I've been sharing my idea. And it's other organizations that, I start to see pop up and stuff like that. But oh well, we all need to be out here helping the kids.
right,
It need to be as many of us as possible. But
exactly.
I just started sharing my idea, and I didn't know what a nonprofit was. My first idea was when I came back from Australia, I was in tears, sharing my story with my cousin, and my cousin is from Baltimore. My cousin is 85 years old, just to give you some perspective. He's
Okay,
from Baltimore, born and raised in Baltimore, back in the time where he got locked up with Martin Luther King and them. Like, he's that type of person, right? Made a life for himself, became a pilot, a millionaire insurance owner, this, that, all types of good stuff. So he traveled the world. So he understood what it was to come from Baltimore from nothing and travel the world. And I came back from Australia in tears, and I'm just telling him, like, listen, I gotta work really, really hard and get really, really rich so I can pay for kids to travel the world like I'm doing right now. And he was like,
hmm,
no, what you're gonna do is start a nonprofit.
yeah,
And I'm just like, yeah, whatever that means. And from there, it just kept going. I didn't know what I was doing or how I was doing it, but you just ask questions, get in front of the right people. And again, like you said, just stick to that why. If you stick to that why, people are going to figure out how they can help you out.
yeah. I
And that's
mean,
all.
and the world has a good way, and I tell people this: you just got to focus on, positivity, putting one foot in front of the other. In the world, if you are a positive person and bringing the right energy, I have seen the world not only in my life but in other people's life. literally open up doors for them. I mean, I moved
Absolutely.
to Colombia 2 years ago. I took a trip out to Puerto Rico ahead of my move to meet with Akeem because I knew
Yes.
he was a black man that coming from the United States, lived out in Colombia, was able to give me. So we went and met in another country, but that is how you and I got connected. So it's like you just
Yep.
keep putting the positive energy out,
It's gonna
and
circle back.
it'll walk, and sometimes it'll run, and other times it'll just beat your door down to where you're almost like this because that's how everything is an energy exchange. And I tell people that the
Yes.
more you get down to the basics of life, everything is energy. That's
Yep.
why they call it spending. Everything is energy and time. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
energy and time. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to have negative. You have negative energy or bad or positive. You either have time, you're trying to get more time, which is going to work to spend more time with your family, or getting money, which is a conversion of time into a currency. Like it's so basic, and we convoluted with trying to, like you said, no, I haven't even taken the salary yet because we are still trying to make these resources come together in a way where we can help 25 kids a year turn into 50 kids a year,
Exactly.
and not just in Baltimore and
Yes.
Philadelphia. So it's just
Yes.
the entire, I mean, you could just go all up and down the entire East Coast, never
It's
mind
so many kids.
all the way on the other side, and in between that, where there are so many children that the education that you're providing is education that is just not being provided. It's only being provided
Yes.
through experience.
Yes.
There is no class. I went to college. I went to good schools. There's no class that says this is your passport. This is how
Yeah.
you go. This is how you do. There is none of that. America's
No.
entire bubble is to say we are number one. Everyone else is number two on down. You shouldn't think to leave America. You can go visit, but why would you want to leave the best
Why
country
would
in
you
the
want to
world?
leave? Right.
It's the best country in the world. And my retort to that has always been, for who? Is it for you? Because the best country in the world is a blanket statement. And, my brother is my brother, but we are not the same person. With the
Yep.
things that make me happy, and I've got two older brothers, I've got three sisters, and we are all different.
All different. Oh my God, me and my brother are like day and night, and we again born in the same house, took showers together, wore some of the same clothes, slept in the same bed. You understand?
Yep.
And we
And
are.
180. I get it.
And
So,
but that's how it is in our communities too, and that's why I want our kids to learn that at a young age too. Like, listen, if you don't have, so what I'm seeing is a lot of these kids these days are going through depression. They want to be alone. I'm just seeing so much that was so a little different from when we were coming up. But I'm like, listen, a lot of they're not finding their tribes. And I'm like, if you don't find your tribe where you are, I can almost guarantee you your tribe is somewhere else. Your tribe is most likely somewhere else. And I tell people that all the time. I've always been who I am, but I'm a big believer that I really found exactly who I was when I left Baltimore.
hell yeah. When I
And
left
I'm still
Philadelphia, I was
100%
like,
Baltimore. I'm still all Baltimore, all up and down my bones. But you get what I'm saying? Like, listen, the real me had to leave my city and go figure out, oh my God, like just your everyday daily habits. I was, I went from, I went from, smoking, drinking almost every day with the same people, shopping all the time to make sure we had all the right fits for whatever weekend party or club we was going to almost every other day to at least once a week. My main thing was a sunrise hike.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my main thing was a sunrise hike or jogging on the beach or ride my bike through Long Beach. Like your habits just started to change. My people, my tribe, everything started to change. But again, I'm again still Baltimore, but just living a little bit differently, understanding like who I was really made to be. But it took me having to leave, and people have to understand that you don't have to be sad and depressed where you are, or not, or feeling like, oh my God, this isn't going my way, and I can't find people I like, I can't find people I love, I don't like myself, et cetera, et cetera. I guarantee you, if you step outside of that
Yeah.
town for a quick second, you gonna find what you need to find.
One thing I will say, because these kids are definitely going through something, which is probably contributing to the depression, because with the phone in hand and the access to everything, imagine being 14 and imagine things that weren't caught on camera when we were children that are now caught and recorded and shared 1,000 places. Never mind seeing other 14-year-olds making $100,000 a month from TikTok videos and different things of that nature. So feeling like that right there, the thought process of all of that, I'm like, I wouldn't even have known what to do with that because it's like it was difficult enough being in the neighborhood in the city. You worry about what some rich like. Imagine if like, when we were kids, like look like you could see Lil Bow Wow's every move and every life, like Beyonce when it was still
Oh my
Destiny's
God.
Child. Like imagine if you could see them when they were still 15, 16 years
It's
old,
too
and that's where the
much.
kids are meeting at themselves now, and it's like, and the other half of it is it's adults and children. Everything is about how much stuff and how much things do I
Oh
have.
my
You
God.
said something. You said, "Oh, a sunrise hike." You said a jog. I live here in Medellin. It's 75, 80 degrees all year long. The city of eternal spring. We come from a
Yes.
place where we're used to it, waiting for it to get nice outside for us to
To
start
go
being
out.
able to do
Right.
things. Imagine going to see a place that you didn't even know existed that looks like a whole city that you're familiar with. They just speak a different language, and the
Yep.
weather's outside is always nice. So it's like it's the it's the overconsumption of everything that these kids see with their peers. That yes, they're miles ahead of you, but we just didn't grow up with having to see much of that competition from a social media perspective.
It's way too much. It's way too much. And it's funny because speaking of like, what we consume and things, like travel has taught me that I need less, that I actually want less, right? Because and listen, some of the parents be laughing at me because when we do our trips, it's either a carry-on or just a backpack. We do not do check bags, okay? If you can't fit everything you need in the carry-on, you can't go on this trip, and
My,
that's just how
my
it is.
shoes is this big. I can't do no carry on. I got a carry on computer. That's the bag right there.
Listen, but
My
you're a
shoes.
business. Listen, you're a business owner. Like you said, what you said, you got a computer, you got all this other stuff. These kids ain't taking no computers. So listen, roll your clothes up. I'll teach them how to pack. Roll your clothes up. I'm gonna tell you what you need. We might have a wash and dry when we get there.
Packing
We're gonna wash them
essentials.
clothes. But you don't need all these crazy things that you think you need. And then by the time you get to a place, especially like I always think about, my one of my favorite places is Belize,
Yeah, yeah.
and we stay on the island, and you live in that island life, like you said, it's hot outside. I don't even want nothing but some shorts, some flip-flops, and a tank top, and call it a day. You know what I mean? I'm about to be in this hammock on this beach all day. I'm not worried about all these
We've
other
been taught to
things.
go get a fit off when we go on the other side of the TSA international. Like I got to go get my fit. People they go shopping to go put on clothes for people that have never seen the old clothes.
Never seen the old clothes. I love it. I know.
It's
It's funny because I'll be doing my little shopping for certain trips, and then I'm like, hold on, wait, I'm wearing this, and this that I already got in my clothes. But
living abroad. I literally look at it when I go to like. It's either okay, I need to have somewhere for jeans, or it's going to be hot as hell. But it's literally like, okay, put these 6 things in this bag for this, because this is the kind of trip it is. Put these six
mhm,
things in this bag for this. I feel
for
like I
this,
keep
yes.
unpacking and packing the same exact things, like because I had to downsize so much, and I probably need to downsize even with here. Like I'm looking at things in my household, and I'm like, one big ass
Always
shoes.
room to downsize.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
for
it's
sure.
always room to downsize, and understanding that that's okay, right? Like travel will teach you that too. Understanding that downsizing is okay. Downsizing is not a bad thing, but And that's what I teach my students. Like, listen, once you start traveling, you're gonna see you ain't gonna be out here comparing yourself to a lot of people. You're gonna downsize and make your life work for you because like I talked a lot of times my students used to ask me like, oh my God, you rich because you always traveling. You rich because you always travel. I said, no, 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 no. I downsized my life in the U.S. and I prioritize traveling.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things that people prioritize. I don't. Travel is a bill for me. So
The
I
Florida
cut out a lot of
Mercedes
other bills.
Benz. You don't
Huh?
need the Florida Mercedes Benz at all, because
No,
Florida, South
no.
Florida is the
Can't
land
afford
of
it.
the
Don't. And
Mercedes.
can't afford it, ain't going to try to afford it. I'd rather spend hundreds on traveling and getting out of here and going to go see some things and saving my money to finally buy some property out of here, out of the US,
Oh yeah,
rather
you need
than
cash for that.
spending money on a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's something that I always try to teach my students like, listen, if you can start this process now while you're young, start prioritizing your money, making travel and and even when it comes to like them going to school, I connected with a lady not too long ago. I forgot her name. I actually need to follow up with her, and she helps them figure out the process to study and live abroad. And I'm like, listen, use that as a ticket out. Like if you can't afford, some of these colleges in the US, which you probably can't, if you find one that's cheaper in another country, go. Use that as your ticket. Go and get out of here for a minute. You can always come back. And that's what I tell them. Like, if you don't like it somewhere, because
Yeah, it's
not
not like
everything is
they
for,
close the door behind you. Like,
you can always come back. They gonna want you back because they want your tax money. They want your money. They gonna let you back. And if they don't listen, it's probably for a reason. but
right,
but
right,
they
right,
gonna
right.
let you back. So just go out there and see what's up, see what's going on. It won't hurt at all.
Yeah.
Downsize, throw all that stuff away, and get out.
That's real. And with you had said something earlier. You've been doing this for 10 years, so I know you've got probably a bunch of stories that kind of stick out with you, because I know you're very passionate and like really on the ground with each individual that comes in. But is there like one story that kind of like jumps into the top of your mind where this kid went from not having a passport, maybe even on a wrong trajectory, and is now like years past that and is just living his best life or her
Yes.
life?
So yes. So actually, I wouldn't say too much on the wrong path. Yeah, it's a battle out here. I just want to say that it's a battle. We have worked with a lot of students who, yeah, possibly was on the wrong path, and then we've helped them kind of get back on the right path, and then they might fall off, come back on. Again, it is a battle because we're still also battling with when they come back. We keep a strong relationship with all our students. um, but again, we're still a small organization. We don't have a ton of money, so there's still only but so much we can do.
Hmm.
Um, that I wish, which we are, to in due time, we'll be able to do a lot more with helping them keep traveling. Okay,
Yeah.
but a very simple one that I really love. This was something that just made my heart feel really, really good. And this is simple. And to some people, it's like, but to me, this was everything. I had a student, and this was one who was kind of on the wrong path. He was a little shaky. His dad was like, listen, you got to do something with this boy because I don't know what's going on. And thank God that he entered the program because now he's like my nephew, right? Like I make sure he's good. We talking. I give him jobs. He's doing a lot better, and he's trying to figure it out with all the issues that he's crossed with family and school and stuff like that. He's doing a lot better than what he was when we first met him.
Hmm.
Um, but we were talking about something one day, and somehow the conversation came up about like drama and like some other stuff, and he said he had went to Belize with us, and I have a picture of him Actually, I wish I could. I wish was like prepared to show the picture. But I have a picture of him taking a nap in the hammock. And so, let's say a couple years later, we're all talking, and it was about some drama and some BS and whatever, right? And he was like, "Honestly, Miss B, all I really want to do in my life is go back and just hang in a hammock by the beach."
Mhm.
And that really like melted my heart because it has so much meaning to it. Just for a kid to understand the power of being still
Yeah.
and understand the joy that hammocks bring. I have, oh my god, I if I would have known how to like take over the social media world back when I first started traveling, I probably would have been known for being the hammock girl because I literally used to take my hammock everywhere with me.
So yeah.
Everywhere. I had the pop up stands and everything. I would pop up at your house with my hammock and put it right in your living room and be hanging and chilling. But like it just made my heart feel so good. He was like, I don't want to be involved in no street stuff. I just rather just lay in a hammock by the beach. And that was like, okay, we are
Mhm.
doing something good here because a
Yeah.
lot of kids don't even know what a hammock is
Yeah. Yeah.
or the
And not a lot
joy
of
of
hammocks
being
in the
able,
city.
yeah, and like, right, or
Where you
the
gonna
joy
put
of
it?
being able to lay in a hammock without being bothered or without to the sound of the ocean versus the sound of gunshots. Like that did it for me. So I have a ton of stories, but that's just one little small one that melted my heart.
Nah, that's real. Cause like I said, I just think about these kids, and I think about the state of Philadelphia and how it's gotten to now, and the kids with the guns are starting to get younger. Like when I was a kid, it was like one guy in high school, crazy guy who's got a gun, but like now it's like crazy kids. The normal kids feel like they
Everywhere.
need to protect themselves, and it's just like nobody should have to grow up like that. And no, I can't reach into houses and take children out of them and put them into better environments. But we can do a number of things like you're doing, which is give an opportunity for the next generation to have a better track than
Yep.
we all got, whether we didn't end up in a good spot or we did end up in a good spot. We just got started late. And
Yep.
you're even
We just
helping
got started late.
families. Like the families thing is important because what you're doing is meeting a kid at their level. Everything after them is going to be impacted by what's happening today.
Yep.
However, if you're able to go upwards and reach their parents and have stimulate conversations within their own friend groups and different things of that nature now, well, we're not going to go do this or we're not going to go save up to buy this BS because we're worried about taking this vacation. And kids
Yep.
are motivated by things that motivate them. Well, Junior, you got to do well in school if you guys want to go on this vacation. You want us to
Yep.
get your passport. Like sometimes you got to lead them a little just so that they have some motivation. Like especially because if you allow the phones and the streets to motivate them, most of that time motivation is not the ideal scenario. So, my
Mm-hmm.
job with this conversation is ideally to one, shed light on this platform. Not saying it's the only platform, but it's the one that I'm connected with, and I feel really passionate about giving more children the opportunity so that the guy that's me in 20 years doesn't have to have half the same conversations with people as adults because they already know because we did it already.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but how I know we've got some initiatives that are coming up. Can you kind of tell us about that and how people can support what those initiatives look like? Everybody, Bianca's been mentioning fundraising, different opportunities with. If there are any politicians watching this from any major city, these are things that can be replicated where you are to help impact your city and the children that are in there. Please kind of give me some oversight on what that looks like in the future, in the
Yeah.
present, maybe.
So right now we are working on more travel giveaways where we'll support our donors. So it's you help us, we help you. We support our donors. We're going to raffle off some winners to win some travel stuff. So you get to travel, the kids get to travel. It's a win-win for everybody. Outside of that. I am opening up soon some applications for new board members. We always need volunteers to just really brainstorm, go on some trips with some kids, be some mentors, um, and help us, just get one step in front of the other, get one foot in front of the other.
Yeah,
Looking to expand into different cities. So we definitely want to connect with more people who are passionate about and understanding that this, I have the blueprint, but it's work. So people who are passionate about putting in the work and realizing, okay, I'm from, like you said, all right, I'm from Philly. Let me figure out how I can give Philly kids these opportunities. And we sit down, we talk about that, we make it happen. I know it's a ton of people from different cities who would love to see kids from their cities traveling and having passports.
yeah,
So let's connect. Let's figure out how we can make that happen. I've already built, I've already built the foundation. So I'm going to try to make everybody's job as easy as possible because I want more kids to get in and understand what's happening. Um, Outside of that, so we will be announcing a travel giveaway soon. Outside of that, if everybody go on the website learningtolivemovement.com, one, you'll get to learn a lot more about like what we have going on, trips we have coming up, but also go to the events page. I know a lot of people like your good wine and sometimes you need a reason to step out. So August 16th, we're gonna be in Baltimore for the International Wine Experience. Good
nice.
wine, good energy, and we're raising money for a good cause. So people can support us. Um, and other than that, like we're one of the main things we are always, always looking for. If it's anybody out there, if you have $25 a month that you can donate to a kid traveling the world or getting a passport, please, we are always looking for monthly donors. The more monthly donors we have, the more kids we can support and the more, more cities we can go into and make this thing shake. So, um, and organizations, I'm always looking to partner with organizations. Organizations is out there doing the same thing as me. We are not competition. We need each other. Let's work together to make sure that these kids, it's about the kids for me. I
Yeah,
want them to be ahead of the game because if we don't get them ahead right now, we're going to look up another 10, 20 years looking like what is going on. All these the adults are the way that they are because of how they were brought up, how we were brought
yeah,
up. What did we know? What did we not know? Even down to other communities. When you think about people that are racist and evil and this and that and all this other stuff, they probably didn't have much exposure to them daggone selves.
yeah,
You know
yep,
what I mean? So
yep,
we got to get it done now with our kids so they know what's going on. They know how to work with different people of different backgrounds. They know who they want to be and how they want to do it. They not confused. They know how to talk to people, how to navigate, and how to travel.
yeah. Ah, that's real. That's real. It's a lot of work to be done, and I think what is already been has been done and is being done now is exactly what we got hope. We've got hope. I don't know what the hell is going on right now in the United States. I'm dealing with the adults that are trying to get it figured out, but these things are designed to help us see some hope in the future.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
doing what we can to shape that in any way possible is completely at the forefront. So Bianca, I appreciate you for jumping on with me, having this
Appreciate you,
conversation,
man.
letting the people know what you guys are doing, how to support it. There's going to have to be a lot more even just in this conversation. I'm thinking of 1,000 things that I'm like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
we gotta put the pen to paper because there are so many kids. I'm even thinking about taking these kids on college tours. Now I went to HBCU and seeing that, and I'm like, that me going to Morehouse is the reason I went to Morehouse. If I would have never gone and actually went to that campus,
Wouldn't have known.
I wouldn't have went. No, I wouldn't have
Yep.
went. I knew about it. I just wasn't sold on the all male school to be honest with you. But when I went there and I saw it with my own two eyes, because from Philadelphia and all middle schools, so like in Atlanta, I'm like, I've never been to Atlanta. I don't even want to go to, but going
Yeah.
there immediately was like, yeah, I'm leaving Philadelphia. My father tried to bribe me and say, "You stay in Pennsylvania, I'll get you a car." I said, "I will be carless outside of Pennsylvania because I am not staying here, no matter what bribes come after it." So
Yes.
definitely want to make certain that you guys are going to complete this website again, just so in case anybody missed it.
Yep, learning to live movement because we are learning how to live life differently. So learning to live movement.com.
Perfect, perfect. Bianca, you take it easy. I will do the same on my end. I
Yes,
think,
you keep focusing on the adults and I will keep focusing on getting these kids out of the country and we going to make it happen, baby.
yeah, you definitely already know. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. We will see you. I may be on tomorrow, but I definitely will be on Friday. I will be on early. It will be 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be on with Rotisha at Rotisha's World. She is another relocation expert, but she specializes in Santa Marta, Colombia. So, doing my
Nice.
best to continue to bring on the resources that you need to make a decision, figure out if life abroad is something that you want to do, and also bringing you resources that will help shape the next generation of travelers. So, Bianca, thank you once again, and I'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, bye bye.